Hello and thank you for joining. Several charges have now been laid in connection with the Kenora jail hostage-taking last month. On September 14th, corrections officer John Santoris was handcuffed to a bed and assaulted by a group of inmates. Crisis negotiators managed to secure his release about 2 hours later. TBT News was initially told by one source off camera that 4 prisoners were involved. However, the OPP have now charged 7 inmates from ages 19 to 35 with charges including hostage-taking, 12 counts of assaulting a peace officer, disarming a peace officer, unauthorized possession of a weapon, and uttering threats. All 7 accused will appear in court in Kenora at a later date. Meanwhile, emergency crews were back at the facility on Monday after several inmates set fires in their cells. 2 staff members were sent to hospital for smoke inhalation, and the crisis intervention team was brought in to remove the inmates. Ministry officials say the latest incident took place in a secured area of the complex, and the surrounding community was not put at risk. A 2-vehicle collision on Highway 1117 claimed the lives of 2 Terrace Bay residents last Friday. OPP say the crash took place around 5 o'clock in Dorian. An investigation revealed a westbound pickup truck had crossed the road's center line and collided with an eastbound SUV. The driver and passenger of the SUV, 69-year-old Thomas Long and 59-year-old Shelley Long, were both pronounced dead at the scene. The occupants of the pickup truck were transported to hospital with serious injuries. No charges have been laid yet, and the investigation is still ongoing. The grand opening of the Peninsula Manor brought a packed house on Tuesday. The Marathon Senior Home is now fully open and is providing regional residents the opportunity to downsize while still maintaining their independence. Adam Riley has the story.
It's a day many in Marathon have been waiting for as the ribbon was cut at Peninsula Manor, a senior supportive housing complex which, according to Mayor Rick Dumas, was 15 years in the making. He says both the provincial and federal governments contributed $2.7 million to the project. As well, $1 million was donated from Barrick Gold's Hemlo operation. However, the town had to find a way to cover the remaining costs.
Then the municipality went out and borrowed the remaining portion of the money to fund this facility. So yes, the municipality is on the hook for the remaining roughly $10 million. But at the end of the day, the facility is at capacity. There's no issues. The facility will pay for itself.
Dumas says 24 of the 36 rooms at the facility are occupied and expects the remaining 12 to be filled by year's end. Adam Brown is the CEO of the North of Superior Healthcare Group and one of the partners involved with Peninsula Manor. He says while his agency is a contract service provider, the Manor is not a long-term care facility.
There are PSWs coming around helping with the activities of daily living. We provide a supper service every day. That's really akin to a Meals on Wheels type of service in a home, but we're actually delivering it from the hospital to the common eating facility here. And we have obviously mail and recreation and all those things that a community center would have.
Jean Perkins is one of the many residents of Peninsula Manor. She says the price was right when she saw the cost to live at the facility, in addition to a few other benefits.
Well, it's closer to one of my family, for one thing, which I wasn't before. And the facilities are just great. If everything gets going, can't complain. And the bathrooms are the size of the bathroom, I can't believe.
Dozens of residents came out to celebrate the grand opening of Peninsula Manor, including representatives from the town of Terrace Bay. They were on hand not only to celebrate the opening, but to also look at the facility. Mayor Jody Davis says a complex similar to Peninsula Manor is needed in his community.
We've had several meetings with residents, and we're still working on that part of it and looking for partners to move ahead with this because it is a very costly project and there's a limited amount of funding out there.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
The Nipissing River Bridge reached a significant milestone after 2 new eastbound lanes opened to traffic for the first time this week. The Ministry of Transportation confirms that traffic was switched from the north end to the south side on Monday as part of the construction process. The westbound lanes that first opened nearly 3 years ago are now closed to traffic as crews install the permanent construction joints. The $100 million bridge was originally scheduled to fully open by the end of last year, but Work was delayed after a major malfunction in January of 2016. The MTO says it hopes to have all 4 lanes ready for traffic by the end of this year, but much of the remaining work is weather dependent, and the ministry can't give a firm date at this time. One of the region's smallest airports saw a major addition to their facility. The city of Kenora witnessed the grand opening of its brand new airport terminal. As Adam Riley reports, the facility has the potential to bring back services that have been gone since 9/11.
Probably the oldest airport facility in all of Northwest Ontario, maybe the whole province. We needed to get something up to speed to meet what we needed.
What they needed was a new terminal capable of providing a space for larger carriers to operate out of and for a proper security screening zone. For years, there were 3 flights a day between Kenora and Minneapolis. However, 17 years ago, the airline industry drastically changed when 19 hijackers took control of 4 planes and flew them into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania. Security became heightened and Kenora's airport was no longer compliant. But with this new terminal, Kenora Mayor Dave Canfield says they now meet the stringent security measures required for international flights.
The traffic's here. A lot of them go to Winnipeg because there's no alternative other than just the one carrier. And I remember the days when we had 3 carriers here. With the new airport, the new terminal, it's going to be great. It's going to have a great opportunity to bring back some connections between the U.S. and hopefully new carriers into here.
Canfield says the facility is still busy with private planes flying in and out all summer, but not as busy as it was prior to 9/11. He adds on the Kenora to Minneapolis route, the flights were all full, something he hopes to see again. The $6.2 million project was completed on budget and was funded by all 3 levels of government. Canfield says now they are looking towards the future and have brought in an intern to explore the possibilities.
Where do we go from here? And what's the next step? What do we, besides looking for other carriers, what other opportunities are out there? And so these are a lot of the things that the intern is going to be doing and researching and finding out what opportunities we do have.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
Northwestern Ontario may see a surge in hospital care space in the near future. The Ontario government announced it will spend $90 million this year to fund hundreds of hospital beds across the province. It's unclear exactly how much of the funds is earmarked for Thunder Bay and the region, but a St. Joseph's care official confirmed it will be used to maintain the alternate level of care beds at Hogarth Riverview Manor. In January, 32 patients were moved there from the regional hospital to help address the chronic overcrowding at the facility. Premier Doug Ford made the announcement Wednesday in Toronto alongside Health Minister Christine Elliott.
1,000 new long-term care beds across Ontario. These are 6,000 beds of 15,000 new long-term care beds we will build across Ontario over the next 5 years. This is the first 6,000 beds of the 30,000 beds that we will be building over the next 10 years.
Regional Hospital spokesperson Dr. Stuart Kennedy issued a statement calling it welcoming news and says that he applauds the government's commitment. For the 3rd straight year, the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center hosted a mental health walk around the facility. The event was meant to raise awareness and reduce the stigma surrounding mental illness. Alana Pickrell has the story.
The walk kicked off Mental Illness Awareness Week, which is recognized nationally. Executive Vice President of Inpatient Care Programs, Dr. Peter Voris, says treating mental illness and mental health is part of the hospital's strategic plan for 2020. And their goal is to make all their patients comfortable talking about mental illness so they can treat it better.
Every patient who's admitted to hospital is now screened for mental illness, so nurses invite the conversation rather than waiting for a patient to just bring it up. They recognize that many people suffer with mental health issues, and so people who come into hospital for physical issues are no different than anyone else, and many of them are struggling with mental health. We know that if we address their mental health issues, their physical health will improve as well.
The walk included a handful of hospital staff members, patients, and guests from the community who believe that mental illness is a conversation that needs to keep happening. Patient family advisor Margaret Heiniak lost her son to suicide in 2005 and says since then she has been working closely with the hospital to improve the procedures that they have been using in the past.
The hospital right now is looking at the emergency department and how they triage people in the emergency department. When my son was here in 2005, he was interviewed in the hallway and he was also interviewed by someone he knew. So some of the changes they're looking at and they have implemented is having people interviewed in private rooms and then having the triage done and an assessment done immediately.
Right now, the hospital asks every patient 4 questions about their mood and 4 questions about anxiety to help determine if a patient might be struggling with mental illness from the very beginning of their stay. Alana Pickrell, TBT News.
Coming up next, the more dogs from remote regions made a trip through Thunder Bay en route to new homes in southern Ontario. The Ontario SPCA and its animal wellness partners are transporting another 40 rescue dogs this week from northern communities. The pups made a stop in Thunder Bay last Wednesday evening as they make their way to their new homes in southern Ontario. Alana Pickrell has the story.
Despite the rain and cold, this small group of dedicated volunteers came together to give these rescue dogs from remote northern communities a chance at a better life. The BARC bus, which is used to transport the dogs, made a quick stop in Thunder Bay so the dogs could be walked, cleaned, and fed before getting back on the road. Ontario SPCA board member Judy DeSico says relocating these dogs is mandatory.
An OSPCA initiative that was started this year and bringing awareness to the overpopulation of northern dogs and trying to make communities safer and for both pets and humans.
There were over 40 dogs en route to southern Ontario, and since there were 2 transport vehicles being used this trip, the SPCA was planning to pick up cats along their route as well. Ontario SPCA Provincial Manager Andrew Fraser says this trip has gone smoothly and the animals are being checked often.
We've got a mom who's actually pregnant right now. We've got her separate from the rest of the population. We do have one that needs a little bit of extra TLC, but we're very fortunate that we do have one of our Ontario SPCA vets on this trip. So any medical concerns that need to be addressed right away, we've been able to do it while we've been in the community of Whitefish Bay, and we'll continue to do so while we're making our way south.
All partners involved in the Year of the Northern Dog program are working on finding a more long-term solution to the overpopulation in the northern communities. But Northern Reach Rescue Network Director Tracy Switzer says transporting them is the only option for the foreseeable future.
They have no resources there. They have no vet resources. So it's money, realistically. They don't have the money, the people that have the dogs up there. And unless we can get vets to go up there and do the spay-neuter clinics, the problem won't end.
The Ontario SPCA has been partnering up with Whitefish Bay since 2015 to rehome dogs and provide resources like spay and neuter clinics. In the last year, 200 dogs have been relocated to Southern Ontario for adoption. Alana Pickrell, TBT News.
Despite being one of the smaller regional communities, Ignace is boasting one of the larger rosters of mayoral candidates. 4 people are vying for the chair that include one from councils past and a private citizen making a leap to public life. Adam Riley has more in these candidate profiles.
It's a 4-person race for the mayor's chair in Ignace. Incumbent Lee Kennard says while there have been many challenges the community has faced over the years, there have also been many victories, including the recent unveiling of the town's rebrand to attract new residents and businesses.
Things that we have done, the challenges we have fixed, like we upgraded our street lights, we upgraded our sewer treatment plant, our lighting for the town office, we put auxiliary power in, so if we got a loss of power, we have a place to go.
Looking to unseat Kennard is current councillor Chicky Pasola. She says while the town is poised to boom over the next few years with the Nuclear Waste Management Organization looking to build its storage facility near the community, she adds for now the town needs to look at and support what is already in the community.
I think the town has to support the businesses a little bit more. They're struggling, and times are changing. Businesses create jobs, and in a small town, the businesses are kind of the backbone of your community.
After a hiatus of 25 years, former councillor Nelson Taddeo is back and looking to lead the community. He takes issue with references of Ignace being a depressed area. He says the community downsized to survive and now is ready to expand if needed.
What are the possibilities of simply moving our township boundaries east 2 townships? That would present a number of short access cottage lot potential opportunities, developing in that direction. It would also bring in an extra 6x6 townships, an extra 12 miles of railroad assessment.
Entering the political ring for the first time is former public servant Donald Cunningham. He says he sees lots of opportunities in store for Ignace and believes attracting new residents is key to that future.
We need more population in town, and for a better tax base, and to help our existing businesses bring more in, which will help. I believe that strong leadership, that mayor and council working as a team with the members of the community, and we should be able to position ourselves for that growth.
Voters head to the polls on October 22nd. Adam Riley, TBT News.
With the civic elections approaching, excessive passion has turned into some mean-spirited behavior. Across the Northwest, reports of damage to election signs have been gradually coming in. Some signs were uprooted and tossed on the ground, moved to other properties, or being completely destroyed. Vandalism of election signs comes with serious consequences, according to OPP Constable Peter Burton.
Or tampering with election signs is a crime. It is a federal crime, so you could be charged federal. And you're looking at criminal charges for, could be mischief if you're knocking the signs over, spray painting them, that kind of thing. If you're stealing the signs, taking them, then it's considered as theft. It is the property of those that are trying to be elected. So again, you're looking at theft charges or mischief charges under the Criminal Code Act.
Burton says penalties for vandalism or theft can include a fine or possible jail term of 6 months or more. Red Rock's downtown area is currently under construction this week. Former LCBO on Saul Street was torn down due to structural issues. Crews also tore up the sidewalks on the north side of the street. The project is part of the downtown revitalization aimed at improving the look of the area. Mayor Gary Nelson says it will make life easy for maintenance crews in the winter and cut down on unnecessary repairs.
One thing, the Bobcat in the wintertime plowing snow, moves them around, tears them up. And so we're going to put it back to cement sidewalk we had there before. Make it look nice. We like to do that to a lot of the streets in Red Rock, but funding is hard to get. We managed to get funding for this, but to do more beyond what we're doing right now, we have to do a little bit every year, which we will.
The total cost of the project is $73,000. Nelson says the funding was split between AMO and the federal gas tax. After the break, we meet up with a woman who will have a feathered roommate this upcoming winter. A juvenile bald eagle will be spending the winter with a Thunder Bay woman after undergoing surgery for a broken wing. While the bird has made some progress, the path to recovery remains clouded. Ben Nesbitt has the story.
The young eagle was found in a wounded state on the side of the highway near Rossport last month after being struck by a vehicle. It was taken home by a woman before being brought to Jen Salo with Thunderbird Wildlife Rescue. Salo, an authorized wildlife custodian, took it to a veterinary clinic where it was discovered it had a broken wing. Despite a successful surgery, Salo points out that the eagle will endure many obstacles before she can release it back into the wild.
Right now, it's just keeping him quiet, keeping him safe, keeping him warm, keeping him fed and medicated, and making sure that he doesn't injure himself more. There's going to be a lot of hurdles. Hopefully he can survive and not get any infection in the wing through the healing process. It's tough once bone infection starts, so we're trying to prevent that.
Salo also has other birds that she tends to, but as it stands right now, there are no centers for wildlife rehabilitation in northwestern Ontario, where the eagle would have a better chance of survival. It's a void that Salo finds hard to believe.
We're northwestern Ontario and we have no centers we can go to learn about wildlife. That's always made me scratch my head. People are unaware of the species that call this place home, that we live with, that we have to share this environment with. They don't know the hazards that they have to face and the hazards that they can actually cause us.
While the quest to get the young eagle healthy and back into the wild continues, the medical bills are quickly beginning to pile up. The cost of the original surgery was $1,500, and with multiple more procedures expected to be needed in the coming months, a GoFundMe page has been set up to help Salo along the way. Ben Nesbitt, TBT News.
The Ministry of Natural Resources is investigating a shooting of a cow moose. The animal was shot and left alongside of Highway 527 near Walkinshaw Lake last Saturday. The MNR is looking for public tips in finding the people responsible for the incident. Officers found several pieces of evidence at the scene and after interviewing witnesses, confirmed that the moose was shot with a rifle. Anyone with information is being asked to contact the MNR or Crime Stoppers. Resolute Forest Products is celebrating a monumental safety milestone that allowed them to donate a large amount of money to a very deserving charity. The company has surpassed 500,000 hours without a known injury at their Thunder Bay sawmill. That adds up to nearly 500 days. The staff were awarded with $10,000 for their hard work and dedication to safety. That money will be donated to the underground gym. Gym operator Peter Panetta says the gym runs completely on donations, and this will go a long way helping the kids who use the gym. Resolute Vice President Michael Martel says it's a great feeling knowing that they can give back to the community, all while celebrating workplace safety.
It's the most important thing we do. Make sure that everyone goes home in as good or better condition than how they showed up at work every day. 200 plus employees who work here have a lot of pride in what we're doing. The underground gym, just an amazing organization for Thunder Bay helping kids, and we are all super appreciative of the ability to do that.
The Resolute Sawmill has reached 5,000 hours twice before, once back in 2008 and again in 2011. Well, that's all we have for this week's edition of Northwest Newsweek. Stay tuned until next time. I'm Jason Gaidola. Adieu.